You're doing everything right. You work hard. You set goals. You stay busy. But you still feel stuck. Like no matter what you do, something invisible is slowing you down. The truth? It might not be what you're not doing. It might be the habits you're doing every day, without even realizing they're holding you back. In this episode, we're breaking down 7 subtle habits that look harmless, but quietly sabotage your growth, your energy, and your success. If you've ever wondered, why am I not further along? This might be the answer. Let's start with habit number 1. One of the most deceiving, culturally praised, and dangerously normalized behaviors. The constant need to be productive. On the surface, this looks like a good thing, right? Who wouldn't want to be productive? You're working hard, staying busy, checking off to-do lists. You feel accomplished. You feel in control. You feel responsible. But here's the trap. Being always productive doesn't mean you're making progress. It often means you're just avoiding silence, avoiding stillness, avoiding yourself, the pressure to perform. In a world that glorifies hustle culture, we often tie our self-worth to how much we can get done in a day. We say things like, I didn't do enough today. I can't rest yet, I haven't earned it. If I'm not working, I'm wasting time. And before you know it, your entire identity is built on output. You don't know how to sit still. You feel guilty resting. You measure your value by checkboxes. But here's the truth. Busyness is not the same as effectiveness. And activity is not the same as impact. The difference between motion and progress. You can be busy all day long, answering emails, jumping between tasks, staying in motion, and still be completely disconnected from your purpose. Wealthy, wise, and high-impact people don't aim to be busy. They aim to be aligned. They know when to pause. They know when to say no. They know that space, not stress, is where the best ideas are born. Avoiding stillness equals avoiding self. Here's a hard truth. Many people use productivity as a way to avoid emotions, to avoid discomfort, to avoid facing the harder questions like, am I really fulfilled? Am I chasing this because I want it, or because I'm afraid of standing still? Stillness becomes scary. Silence feels like failure. But that's where your deepest truth lives. What successful people know. Steve Jobs was known for long, silent walks. Bill Gates takes think weeks, with no meetings, no distractions, just reflection. Even top athletes know that recovery is as important as training. The most successful people understand this paradox. The more intentional your rest, the more focused your action. Practical steps. Let's talk about what you can actually do to break this habit. Build pause into your schedule. Block 15 minutes in your morning or evening for no task time. No phone. No input. Just breath. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Not every task is necessary. Ask whether it's urgent or just familiar. Celebrate non-productivity. Rest, play, daydreaming, these are not wasted time. They're part of being human. Challenge guilt. If you feel guilt during rest, question it. Whose voice is that? Where did that belief come from? Final thought. You don't need to be in motion all the time to be moving forward. Sometimes your next breakthrough comes in stillness, not speed. So give yourself permission to pause, to breathe, to be enough even when you're not doing. Because real productivity isn't about being constantly busy. It's about being consistently intentional. Habit number 2. Seeking validation from others. Now let's be clear. Wanting to be seen, appreciated, or acknowledged isn't inherently bad. We're human. We're wired for connection. But there's a difference between healthy connection and needing approval to feel worthy. And that difference can quietly sabotage your confidence, your creativity, and your decisions. Let's talk about it. The subtle signs of validation addiction. You may not say it out loud, but ask yourself, do you feel anxious when no one likes your post? Do you hold back on sharing ideas unless others approve first? Do you make choices based on how you'll be perceived, not how you actually feel? That's not confidence. That's conditional identity. It means your self-worth is on borrowed ground. And here's the danger. When your value is determined by other people's reactions, you become easy to manipulate and hard to satisfy. You'll chase likes instead of legacy, trends instead of truth, and approval instead of alignment. Why do we do this? It starts early. As kids, we learn, be good and you'll get praise. As students, get high grades and you're worth more. On social media, more followers equals more value. And slowly, external validation replaces internal direction. But here's what successful, grounded, and truly powerful people learn. The more you rely on the outside to feel okay inside, the the more unstable your life becomes. You can't build confidence on compliments. You build it on congruence, the alignment between who you are and how you live, how it holds you back. Let's be practical. This habit shows up in more ways than we realize. You stay in a job you hate because others admire your title. You don't start your side business because people might judge. You change your style, your opinions, your dreams, to fit a version others will approve of. You're not living, you're performing. And the worst part? No amount of validation ever feels like enough. Because every like fades. Every compliment expires. And every approval you chase just sets the next trap. The shift, from validation to vision. Here's what high-performing, self-led people do differently. They don't ignore feedback, but they don't depend on it. They create from truth, not for applause. They define success by inner alignment, not outer approval. They don't ask, will people like this? They ask, is this aligned with who I am and where I'm going? They understand. Validation is sweet, but vision is sustainable. And here's a powerful mindset shift. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You just need to be respected by the right people. And most importantly, by yourself. How to break this habit. Here are a few ways to shift from validation seeking to self-trust. Create something without sharing it. Write, design, build, but keep it private. Can you still feel proud of it without applause? Ask, what do I think? First. Before asking for opinions, check in with your own. Do one thing today that scares you, and expect no praise. You're not doing it for others. You're doing it to expand your courage. Unfollow accounts that make you feel less than. Your self-worth doesn't need constant comparison. Celebrate yourself, privately. Keep a proof of progress list. Not for showing off, just for you. Final thought. You are not here to perform. You are not here to be liked into self-worth. You are here to grow, to create, to lead, from the inside out. Validation might feel good, but clarity feels better. And self-trust lasts longer. So the next time you feel that itch for someone's approval, pause, breathe, and remember, you already are enough, without needing to prove it. Habit number 3. Overthinking every decision. Now thinking is good. Reflection is valuable. We want to make wise choices, right? But when thought turns into fear, and when decisions become delays, you're no longer being careful. You're being trapped by your own mind. What overthinking really is. Let's be honest, overthinking often feels productive. It feels like preparation. It feels like you're being responsible. But most of the time, overthinking is actually avoidance. Avoidance of discomfort. Avoidance of uncertainty. Avoidance of the chance that, yes, things might go wrong. But here's what overthinkers forget. Indecision is also a decision. And usually, it's the one that costs the most. The hidden cost of overthinking. You wait too long and miss the opportunity. You study every angle and never move. You ask for too many opinions and drown in conflicting advice. You prepare endlessly and never begin. The world doesn't reward the most perfect plan. It rewards the person who actually takes action. Every successful person has made wrong moves. But they didn't get stuck in their head, they learned on the move. And here's the irony. You can't think your way into confidence. You earn confidence through motion, through learning, through trying, through adjusting. Overthinking feels safe, but it's expensive. When you overthink, you may feel like you're staying safe. But what you're really doing is putting your energy into possibilities that haven't even happened yet. You're solving problems that aren't real. You're delaying results you say you want. And slowly you start trusting yourself less. The more you overthink, the more you doubt. And the more you doubt, the more you delay. And the cycle goes on. What successful people do differently. People who succeed consistently don't make perfect decisions. They make clear ones. They gather enough information, make a call, then move, and adapt as they go. They know. Done and imperfect beats perfect and never started. They trust their ability to adjust more than their ability to predict. That's wisdom in motion. How to break the habit. Let's get practical. Here are a few ways to manage overthinking before it holds you back. Use a decision deadline. Give yourself a fixed window. I'll decide by 5 p.m. today. This forces clarity. Limit options. Too many choices equals analysis paralysis. Pick 2 or 3 strong options, and choose one. Journal the fear. Ask, what am I afraid will happen? Once you name the fear, it loses power. Ask future you. What would my 5 years ahead self want me to do today? Take micro action. 1 email. 1 phone call. 1 sentence. Action kills fear faster than thought ever can. Final thought. You'll never think your way into a perfect life, but you can act your way into growth, into clarity, into momentum. So next time you find yourself looping on the same decision for days, pause, breathe, then move. Because motion creates clarity, and clarity creates confidence. Don't let overthinking rob you of the life you're capable of living. You don't need a perfect plan. You need the courage to start. Habit number 4. Waiting for motivation before taking action. We've all done it. I'll go to the gym when I feel ready. I'll start that project when inspiration hits. I'll speak up when I feel more confident. And so we wait, and life stays exactly the same. The motivation myth. We've been sold this idea that successful people are always motivated, that they feel like it all the time. That drive comes first, and action comes after. But here's the truth. Motivation doesn't come before action. Action creates motivation. Think about it. When do you feel proud of yourself? When you think about going to the gym, or after you've finished a workout? When you plan a new idea, or after you take the first step toward building it? Clarity and energy show up after you begin, not before. Why waiting holds you back? When you rely on motivation to take action, you make your goals optional. You give your power to your mood. And your mood, let's be honest, isn't always reliable. Some days you'll feel excited. Some days you won't. And if you only act when it feels good, you'll move forward slowly, if at all. Success isn't built on feelings. It's built on systems. The most disciplined people in the world? They often don't feel like it either. They just do it anyway. Because they've learned to lead with commitment, not emotion. What high performers do differently. Successful people build habits that happen regardless of how they feel. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on structure, routine, rhythm. They don't ask, do I feel like doing this? They ask, did I say I would? Because they know. Motivation is a guest, but discipline is a roommate. They show up even when it's boring, even when it's inconvenient, even when nobody's watching. And that's what separates movement from momentum. How to break this habit. So how do you stop waiting for motivation? Shrink the starting point. Don't think about doing the whole workout. Just put your shoes on. Just open the document. Just write the first sentence. Set a non-negotiable daily minimum. Something so small you can do it on your worst day. 1 push-up. 5 minutes of writing. 1 page of reading. Use the 2-minute rule. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. No debate. Track actions, not feelings. Journal what you did, not how motivated you felt. That's the real measure of consistency. Create a cue-based habit. After I brush my teeth, I'll meditate. After coffee, I'll plan my top 3 tasks. Link the habit to something automatic. Final thought. You are not lazy. You are not unmotivated. You're just stuck in a pattern of waiting for a feeling to save you. But the truth is, you don't need to feel ready. You just need to begin. Motion first. Motivation later. Because the people who get results aren't the ones who wait for motivation. They're the ones who generate it through action, clarity, and follow-through. So stop waiting. Start moving. Even if it's small. Your future self is already grateful you did. Habit number 5. Comparing yourself to everyone else. We all do it. Sometimes without even noticing. We scroll through social media. See someone's success, someone's body, someone's relationship. And suddenly our own life doesn't feel so great anymore. Why? Comparison feels natural, but hurts. Comparison is hardwired into the human brain. It's how we understand where we fit. It's how we learn, improve, evolve. But in today's world, comparison is constant. And it's no longer helpful. It's overwhelming. Because we're no longer comparing ourselves to people in our real community. We're comparing ourselves to curated highlight reels. To billionaires on Instagram. To entrepreneurs on LinkedIn. To influencers who show only the wins and none of the wounds. And without realizing it, we start to feel like we're behind. Not enough. Losing in some race we didn't even know we were in. The silent cost of comparison. Here's what this habit does slowly and quietly. You start doubting your progress. You feel like your pace isn't fast enough. You chase goals that aren't even yours. You feel pressure to look, act, or succeed a certain way just to keep up. And worst of all, you stop appreciating what you already have. Gratitude fades. Presence disappears. And you're so busy watching their journey that you forget how far you've come in yours. What successful people know. The most grounded and successful people don't spend their time comparing. They study others, but they don't copy them. They learn, but they stay true to themselves. They compete, but mostly with who they were yesterday. They understand this. Someone else's success is not your failure. Let that land. There's enough room in this world for all of us to win, but you'll never recognize your own strength if you keep measuring it against someone else's story. How to break this habit. Limit exposure to triggers. If certain apps or people constantly make you feel behind, mute, unfollow, or log out. Celebrate others, without questioning yourself. Train your brain to say, good for them, and I'm on my way too. Focus on progress over perfection. Write down your wins, even small ones. Track what you've built, not what you lack. Curate your feed. Fill your timeline with people who inspire you to grow, not shrink. Stay close to your why. Ask yourself, what do I actually want? What does success look like for me, not for them? Final thought. Comparison is a thief. It steals your joy, your focus, and your peace. But only if you let it. So take your power back. Look at your own path, your own growth, your own timing. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not late. You're becoming, in your own way at your own pace. And that's worth being proud of. Habit number 6. Saying yes to everything. At first glance, this doesn't sound like a bad habit. Saying yes makes you helpful, open-minded, likable, reliable, right? But here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something that actually matters. Why we struggle to say no. We say yes because we want to be kind. We want to be included. We want to be seen as supportive, generous, easy to work with. And that's understandable. But slowly, that yes becomes your default. Yes to projects you don't have time for. Yes to social events you don't enjoy. Yes to people who drain your energy. Yes to things that are off-purpose, off-brand, or off-track. And soon you're overbooked, overwhelmed, and living a life filled with other people's priorities. The hidden cost of overcommitting. Saying yes to everything seems like opportunity, but often leads to burnout, resentment, loss of clarity, inability to go deep on what really matters. Because when your calendar is full of everyone else's needs, your own goals slowly die from neglect. You start rushing, reacting, scrambling. And worst of all, you lose connection with your own purpose. The truth is, you can't do great work if you're always available. And you can't live an extraordinary life by saying yes to an ordinary one. What high performers do differently, people who are deeply successful and fulfilled, learned one simple but powerful skill. They say no, a lot. Not because they're selfish, but because they're focused. They protect their time like they protect their health. They understand that time is not just money, it's life. And every yes is a trade. So they make those trades with intention. They pause before committing. They check in with their values. And if something doesn't align, they decline, gracefully but firmly. How to break this habit. If you're used to being a yes person, this change will feel uncomfortable at first. But here's how to start. Use the phrase, "Let me get back to you." This buys you time. It breaks the reflex of saying yes instantly. Ask, does this support my bigger vision? If the answer is no, it's a no. Replace guilt with clarity. You're not rejecting them. You're protecting you. Practice small no's. Turn down minor requests with kindness and honesty. You'll build confidence for the bigger ones. Create a personal policy. For example, I don't take meetings on Fridays. I limit evening events to twice a week. Make it known and stick to it. Final thought. Saying no isn't rude. It's responsible. It's how you make room for what matters. It's how you reclaim your time, your energy, your vision. So if you're feeling stretched thin, burned out, or off track, check your yes. Because behind every successful life is someone who learned the power of a well-placed no. Protect your priorities. Respect your capacity. And remember, every no to the wrong thing is a yes to the right one. Habit number 7. Trying to do everything alone. This one hides behind phrases like, I'll figure it out myself. I don't want to bother anyone. I have to prove I can do this on my own. Sounds responsible, even noble, right? But in reality, it's a mindset that keeps far too many people stuck, stressed, and silently struggling. The lone wolf trap. We live in a culture that romanticizes independence. The self-made person. The solo genius. The lone warrior. But look closer. Even the most successful people didn't do it alone. They had coaches, mentors, collaborators, support systems. Trying to do everything on your own isn't strength. It's isolation disguised as discipline. Why we refuse help. There are a few common reasons people fall into this habit. Fear of looking weak. Fear of rejection. belief that no one will understand, feeling like they don't deserve support, wanting full control. But here's the truth. Asking for help doesn't make you less capable. It makes you more effective. Because when you try to carry every load alone, you limit your growth to your own capacity. And that's not leadership. That's burnout waiting to happen. The cost of going solo. Trying to do everything yourself slows you down. It keeps you in your own blind spots. It leads to unnecessary mistakes, decision fatigue, and frustration. Worse, it disconnects you from community. And connection is where momentum lives. Because sometimes what looks like a motivation problem is really just a lack of support. You weren't meant to carry every goal, every fear, every project alone. What successful people understand. People at the top of their game? They don't hesitate to reach out. They don't pretend to have it all figured out. They ask. They collaborate. They delegate. They lean in, not away. They know. Self-reliance is valuable. But smart reliance, that's powerful. They invest in mentors. They share ideas with peers. They build teams, even before they think they're ready. And in doing so, they go further, faster, and with far less unnecessary pain. How to break this habit. Here's how you can begin shifting from lone wolf to intentional support. Start by asking small. Ask a friend for feedback. Ask a colleague for a second opinion. Just practice receiving. Join a community. Find people who share your goals. Accountability accelerates growth. Hire help, even in small ways. A coach, a VA, a tutor, your time and energy are worth protecting. Say these words out loud. I could use some help. Simple, honest, powerful. Reframe asking as leadership. Because leaders don't go alone. They build with others. Final thought. You can be smart. You can be strong. You can be skilled. But if you try to do everything alone, you'll hit a wall that could have been avoided by simply reaching out. Let go of the need to prove you can handle it. You don't have to carry everything. You just need to carry what's yours. And let others walk beside you. Because success is not a solo journey. And the strongest people you know, they didn't do it alone. Neither should you. So let's take a moment to reflect. Here are the 7 habits that may be quietly holding you back, even if they seem harmless. 1. The need to be productive all the time. 2. Seeking external validation. 3. Overthinking every decision. 4. Waiting for motivation before taking action. 5. Comparing yourself to everyone else. 6. Saying yes to everything. 7. Trying to do everything alone. They don't show up loudly. They don't scream failure. But they drain your energy. They cloud your clarity. They delay your potential. And the worst part? They often feel like being responsible or doing your best. But real growth isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things with awareness. So here's your reminder. You don't have to fix everything overnight. Just start with one habit. Notice it, shift it, and choose differently, even slightly, each day. Because change doesn't happen all at once. It happens one conscious choice at a time. If this episode helped you see something in a new way, consider following the show, leaving a quick review, or sharing it with someone who might need to hear this today. And remember, you are not behind. You are not broken. You're just becoming more aware, more intentional, and more powerful than ever. Thanks for spending time here. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, be kind to yourself, and keep becoming who you were meant to be.